All right, Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN wrote this about the Celtics-Cavs trade. Quote, Cleveland and Boston officials started to engage each other on a solution on Tuesday. League sources told ESPN Cleveland is no longer seeking one of the Celtics' top young players or significant draft picks. League sources said the Cavaliers could be inclined to complete the deal for a late first-round pick or second-round considerations, according to league sources. All right, back here with Sherrod Blakely. Mark Murphy of the Herald reported that, the two sides hadn't talked, but then Woj is saying that finally today the two sides engaged. What's taking so long here, Sherrod?
Well, Cleveland is trying to assess what exactly can they realistically get from the Boston Celtics. And, the talk about no Tatum, no Brown, well, listen, that horse never left the barn. The Celtics made it clear from the very beginning that those two guys were going to be off limits. And in Cleveland, I think they're being realistic about this thing now, where at best you're going to get a late first-round pick. If you're the Boston Celtics, you probably are going to look to send them one of those first-round picks that can be flipped into two second-round picks, depending on when it's conveyed. And that, I think, for the Celtics, we have much more palatable, give to Cleveland. But let's face it, Danny Ainge is not wanting to give up any of his assets. Even if they're assets that in the grand scheme of things don't mean a whole lot. But listen, that pick or those picks could be the difference between this guy being in that jersey. And I think ultimately the Celtics will give in and give that.
Listen to what you just said.
But they will do it begrudgingly.
Exactly. You just said the Celtics will give in. We know Danny Ainge pretty well. He doesn't like to give in. He's probably pissed off right now.
There's absolutely no question about that. But let me ask you this question. Name the last time he had a chance to get a guy that good, that young, in his prime. So, you can't compare it to Kevin Garnett or Ray Allen because those guys were established veterans who were at their peak / on the downside of his career. This guy still has another 3 or 4 years before he's going to really reach his peak. And this guy's already a 4-time All-Star, 25 years old.
So we got, 36 hours or so before the Cavs can pull out, rescind this deal. You think it's going to come down to the very last minute, or do you think, they're going to get it done?
I think Danny Ainge is going to really take his time and figure out exactly what he wants to put forth to them. I don't think there's any rush on his part to get this done. And for all we know, they may look to extend the window of negotiating, which is something that both sides have to agree upon. But I think at the end of the day, Kyrie Irving is going to be a Boston Celtic. It's just a matter of how much is it going to cost.